Listen to this. This will make you sick.
What is it? What are you?
A 5-ounce hamburger grown in a lab from the stem cells of a cow will be served next week in London.
It's not natural.
No. It's called the Frankenburger.
Would you take a bite of the Frankenburger? Frankenburger?
The Frankenburger.
So I don't know what you'd call it. Maybe a Frankenburger?
Some call it Frankenburgers.
Frankenburger. Frankenburger. Test tube Frankenburgers.
Frankenburger.
Frankenburger.
Julie Menderes, would you eat one of these?
No.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to what we hope will be an historic event. This will be the first time a burger made with cultured beef has been cooked and tasted. For the past 5 years, one scientist has led the research in this field. Please welcome onto the stage from Maastricht University in the Netherlands, the Professor of Physiology, Mark Post.
I think most people just don't realize that the current meat production is at its maximum. So we need to come up with an alternative, there's no question.
We've devoted huge amounts of land, fertilizer, pesticides, energy, and water to a production system that also results in inhumane conditions for the animals to be raised in, lots of food safety issues. Just the other day, we saw another recall of 50,000 pounds of ground beef because it was contaminated with a strain of E. coli that's extremely dangerous. If you have a technology that can check all of those boxes and begin to eliminate those problems, to me at least, it's worth a look.
With the real estate market reeling, car companies crumbling, and the overall outlook ominous, there is one juicy exception.
Everything seems to be failing in America right now.
Yeah.
Except for the burger, which is booming.
That's right. And it always will boom, because the burger is omnipotent and irresistible. It can never be weakened, it can never be slowed down, it can never stop. It's ever increasing growth and popularity. It's the most single powerful force in the food universe.
The current methods of production today aren't sustainable, and looking at the global demand for meat, they won't be sustainable when we hit 500 million annual tons by 2050. So whether or not, regardless of your stance, you need to look and say, if this is where we're starting from, where can we go from here?
How safe is it?
If you produce the tissue and you end up with the same tissue as beef, there's no reason to assume that it's going to be unsafe. So you can just start to let people eat it.
He's right in that theoretically there's no reason why it would be unsafe. And if we look at kind of where tissue engineering has existed so far, a lot of it is in these medical applications where you're putting organs into people, or you're transplanting their body parts with these kind of synthetically produced tissues. To consider doing that as more safe than consuming, I think there's something, there's a question to be asked there, that how come it's safe to put this stuff like physically in your body rather than to ingest it?
Hannah, you have eaten, tasted, digesting. Your thoughts, what did it taste like?
There's quite some intense taste. It's close to meat. It's not that juicy.
The texture, the mouthfeel has a feel like meat.
Oh yeah, I just saw that you put away the rest of the burger. So what are you going to do with it? Can I please have a small bite?
I think in terms of, I had to say that at the beginning, we've got one small burger, we've got a room full of people who are desperate to try it.
I mean, you're asking the world press basically to report on something they haven't really, they can only report on second hand. So would you be willing to give a tiny little bit, one random member of the audience?
That would be sort of unfair to a number of you.
Just one. One.
Just to avoid any riots in the crowd, I'll just take care of this.
Finish it all.
One of my greatest fears was that it tasted awful and that it was going to provoke a gagging reflex and I was going to puke on TV and it was going to go viral and then, you know, for the rest of my life I would be known as that guy. But it had a very neutral flavor. It had a familiar bite. I didn't have a chance to do this today, or I just didn't have the balls to do it, but I wanted to say this is one small bite for man, one giant bite for mankind. And I do feel that way. You know, I do feel like, hey, this is, you know, it's important to explore a lot of different ways of dealing with food problems.
Lady in the black dress with the white necklace, I think.
I think a huge part of this story is that a lot of development has been philanthropic in the past. What do you think has made it philanthropic rather than more of a technology push from industry?
I think food companies in general, I hope no offense, are kind of conservative, are trying to stay away from really revolutionary improvements. Now gradually some companies start to become interested, and I hope this worldwide emphasis on this technology may foster that.
It's essentially totally open source right now because it's completely philanthropically funded. Sergey was funding it, a lot of the funding came from New Harvest and its donors. All the publications are online on the New Harvest website. Anyone can read about this. And maybe that's why it remains kind of a startup thing, is because individuals can get on board with this kind of research.
I'm thrilled that Sergey Brin invested in this and also could help make this happen.
People think this is science fiction. It's not real, it's somewhere out there. I actually think that's a good thing. If what you're doing is not seen by some people as science fiction, it's probably not transformative enough.